Hey everyone, Future Sky here again. You may remember that in the last video there was a severe lack of audio due to a mess up on my part, and sadly that is the case here as well, but not for the whole week this time. The game audio comes back around when we work on the Jelly statue, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up before we actually started. Alright, that's it for me. Thanks for listening, and on with the video. And hello everyone, and welcome back to week 78 of our Minecraft Let's Play series. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing very well this fine week. So yeah, week 78, and I did have a bit of trouble actually planning out what we were going to be doing this week, but fear not, I did figure out some things that we could do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look into them. Now, obviously, it should come as no surprise that I have the villager hall in here, but we are hopefully getting it done with the masons. Well, of course, they'll be changing to a different profession after that, but at least it'll be something different than just me trading stone. Then on here I also have piglin bartering, which was the gold input. I went ahead and got the redstone fixed, which I'll hopefully be showing this week, but the redstone for that finally now works, so we no longer have to worry about that. We just have to worry about the gold input, and then we're completely done with that project, I believe. Jelly statue we also can do, which is the base trims. Now you might be wondering what 940 is on here. This is the amount of mangrove logs I would need to do the base trims. So we may or may not get to that this week. That really depends on if I feel like cutting down enough trees to get 940 logs, because I'm not even sure how many stacks that is. Then we have the inner circle decorations. I'll explain that later, as well as more lanterns, which would just be placing the lanterns that I've already put down around the path in newer spots. This is nether portal rooms. I'm thinking about starting to design some rooms around the nether portals we have, like for our base or for the villager hall, the animal farms, the end portal, stuff like that. We've got base decorations. I've been thinking about putting a windmill around our place, just one of them, because I think it would be a nice decoration for our base. We might even be able to put something in it, who knows. And then I also have the plans for a basalt farm, which I've gone ahead and immediately gotten the resources for. It's very expensive, as you can tell, due to the amount of gold blocks and all the iron it's taken, but I want to also have a basalt farm due to the fact that when it comes to our nether tunnels, the two things that I've been looking for farms to hopefully help create those tunnels is basalt and ice. So we'll see how that turns out. But of course, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and grab a shulker box worth of stone, and we're going to head over into the nether so that we can trade with our masons. And that of course starts with us going through this portal so that we can go ahead and head over to where our villagers are. And with our 8 villagers, we are of course going to go ahead and send them over, send them through the portal, repeat for the other 7 villagers. And now that everyone is in here, we can go ahead and send them on their way. And now that they are all moved in, we'll go ahead and trade with them the brick trades. And now it's time for stone and their other types of stone trades. And now we see what their terracotta trades are combined with their stone trades to make sure that we actually get the correct amount of rock trades as well as the rest of the colors of terracotta that we need, which for those that want a quick refresher, for regular terracotta it's light blue and brown, and the glazed terracotta we need red, orange, blue, and magenta. So starting with you, we need magenta, we need diorite. Polished andesite is a little meh on there, but I think we can take this one. It does however mean that anyone that has a polished andesite trade can no longer be traded with, but we'll see. So yeah, this one wouldn't work even though it has blue and orange though. Hey, you know how I just said that you are going to stay? Yeah, nah. Sorry, sir. It's blue and orange. We need both of those. You have polished andesite and neither of the colors we need. Bye, sir. You have polished diorite and dripstone, but no colors that we need. Bye, sir. You have another quartz trade. That means you're immediately on. Even even if they have the stone trades that I want, we don't want any nether quartz trades. You have pink and black, and you have polished andesite. Bye, sir. You have gray and cyan. However, you do have a diorite and a dripstone trade, so you might be worth keeping. Yeah, I think we actually will keep you. Even though it doesn't give us any of the terracottas, we still have a bunch of empty slots that can give it to us, so. And I want these higher, the diorite and the dripstone. But I also will mark this guy just so that we know he's technically able to be replaced if need be. And then we have black and magenta terracotta with a polished andesite trade, so you are gone. Alright, so 2 new villagers, one that only is really here for rock trades, the other one actually gave us, you know, a decent amount of our terracotta trades, so what was that, 1/4 of the villagers I brought in? Not great, not bad either. Could be better, could be worse. That is exactly how my mentality with this is going. But with that being said, we're done here obviously, so let's head back to our base and go ahead and get started on the next thing. So I'll meet you guys over there. And what we're going to do is actually not going to take that long, because we're going to be building this basalt farm, which you can tell is very small for the fact that it can actually fit in one shulker box. But we are going to be building this in the nether just for thematic purposes, so I will go ahead and head in there. And where we're going to be going ahead and building this thing is actually probably just right next to our little bee farm that we have, because, well, I mean, I might not even be keeping this where it is, but yeah, these are the ingredients. I'm going to make a beacon that has haste. That is going to be our first step, and I think I can actually take you guys through all of the steps to build this, because it's not even that big of a farm. Alright, there's our haste 2 beacon. Time to put glass all over it for gas spawns, or just any spawns for that matter. And now let's get to work. First, placing down 5 chests, then 5 hoppers behind those chests, then 5 rails, followed by 2 blocks on either side of them so it holds in the hoppers, or the hopper minecarts that we're going to be placing onto them, like so. 5 soul soil on top of that. Then they cover both sides with building blocks. Block in front for a staircase so that we can mine right here. A dispenser here and here. Then building blocks all around the platform in this formation. Redstone dust on this dispenser with redstone dust here and a repeater. Set all the way to 4 ticks. Then we add blue ice as a strip up top. Add the lava buckets into both the dispensers and a button on the ice, and the farm is already done. All you gotta do is press the button and we stayed here and we just left click. See, very simple farm. It's gonna get annoying with the noise, but it's gonna perform and give us a bunch of basalt. I just gotta make sure that I don't break my pickaxe. So I'm gonna stay here for, I'd say, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. We'll see how much we get from this, and then we can just turn this off. And it's only been about 2 minutes, but let's see what we've got so far. Yeah, in 2 minutes there's 4 stacks in here, a little over 2, a little over 2, almost 2, and then 1. So that's what, 4, 2, 2, 2, 1 would come out to being 11 stacks in 2 minutes. Definitely enough for what we're planning on doing with them. So yeah, didn't take too long. Farm works great, and if I need to move it, it can be easily moved. I just gotta keep an eye on my pickaxe because this thing breaks really fast when using this. So now that that's built, let's go do something else, and we'll head to our base for that. Actually, we're just gonna head over to where I'm going to be working next, which is going to be the Jelly statue. So yeah, let's get over there. And you may be wondering what I want to do here, and it's actually very simple. What I want to do here, for today at least, is just kind of work on the inner portion of this at the moment, because I think I wrote it down earlier that what I was thinking of was inner circle decorations as well as the more lanterns, meaning I just want to go ahead, put some lanterns down on this strip. Probably, I would say either 2 or 3, depending on how much we could fit these in with this amount of space. And then when it comes to inner circle decoration, I'm not too sure what I want to do at the moment. I'll figure that out as we go along. But you may have also noticed that I have base trims and then a number 940 on this. And that's because I'm talking about these over here. These circles that have been here for a while, and I said that I wanted to build 16 different colored trees in them and just kind of have like a color wheel of trees. And I want to have a mangrove base trim around it. Well, I did the math on that, and to get all these circles done, it would total out to being about 940 logs. And at that point, that's just absurd, especially with how annoying it is to get mangrove logs. So what my plan is at the moment, we're not going to worry about this, and I might do this between episodes and basically show you guys in the beginning if I do some of these. Might do them 4 at a time, might do them 2 at a time. I'm not sure. It really just depends on how many logs I'm going to spend, because it's a lot. I think, let's see, how many does this total out to be just for one? So it's 44 just for one circle, but we need to calculate the fact that I want to use wood, like the strip wood that we use for the ring back there. 44, multiplying it by 4, divided by 3, because that's how the conversion factor works when crafting, coming out to, we'll say, about 60 logs per circle, right? It's not the exact number, but it's close. 60 times 16 comes out to being 960. So you can probably see where the little discrepancy of 940 comes in. Yeah, that's a lot of wood that I need to chop up, and I don't feel like doing that right now, so we're just gonna wait on it. Instead, let's go ahead and get some of these lanterns put in. Hopefully I have enough mangrove to actually do just the inner circle. And in all honesty, this is probably where we'll be putting the actual lanterns here. Just having 4, I think, will be enough, hopefully. And so now, of course, I need more mangrove. I am out, and I will be back. And this is what it looks like with all of the lamps put in. And this is kind of what it looked like during the night. It gives off a little bit of light, but, you know, at least it's more light than there was here before, so I can't necessarily complain. And I think next, if we do more lanterns in the future, which we definitely will be, we'll have to figure out how I want to do the lanterns going down these paths. And then I think we're done with the lanterns, and I'll have to figure out something more for these dark patches, because as you can see, mobs still spawn on them. Not as often as they used to, though, so I'll take it. But now that we have all these lanterns in place, I need to figure out what I want to do with these inner circles, because, well, I don't want them to just be bare, but I also can't really put too much here due to the fact that there's already a decent amount of space kind of taken up by the pathways and the pagodas, and it's just kind of cramped over here as is. I'm thinking maybe some bushes like we have around our base, but I don't know. I'll work with it a little bit and I'll show you guys what I land on. Actually, I've got an idea of what I want to do for this, and I will show you guys it step by step. First thing I want to do is add some of these firefly bushes to the edge of here, then add some bamboo around all of this, add some pots with these cherry blossom saplings and a carpet in the middle, in a few places, not just the one. And the next step is to add all of these statues just across the line. There is 6 of them in total around this quadrant. And now we'll make a small fish pond just like this with cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, stone, and andesite, putting some lily pads and some actual fish into here. They shouldn't despawn because these are, of course, spawned in with buckets, so we should be fine in that regard. Place down a few bushes just for the sake of greenery. Now bone meal the rest, taking out the flowers that spawn, and also clearing any of the grass that spawns around our statues. We'd like that to stay as clean as possible. And now we have our little bit of decoration. However, now I gotta do that to all the other quadrants, so I'll be back when I'm done with those. And this is what it looks like when all 4 sections are done. I really love how this turned out because, well, it adds obviously more decoration, but it kind of adds a more natural look to this place. It'll look a little bit better when all the bamboo is fully grown, but I think right now, for the time being, it looks pretty good. I also did try and leave the statues to be clear out in front from where they are, so that's why you don't really see any plants going out this way. But yeah, this is what it looks like from afar, and I think it looks pretty good. I'd even say that the inner ring is now done, and now we gotta mainly worry about this part, but that's a future sky problem because that's gonna be a lot more worse. But yeah, now with that being done, let's go ahead and head over to our base for the next thing that we're actually going to be building. Yeah, 2 building projects right back to back. Who would have thought? But I'll see you guys over there. Now, for what we're going to be building in our little base today is we're actually going to be working on trying to build a windmill. I think I've talked about this, I wanted to do this before, and, well, I thought today would be the day. So, what we need is a 9x9 area to build this. Or, sorry, it's not 9x9, it's 11x11. So I'm going to clear out that here, which honestly might be easier said than done. And now that we have the area cleared out for our build, here's what we're going to be making out out of, starting with a dark oak door, some dark oak post, 6 tall, a line of deep slate tiles on the bottom, followed by a line of stone bricks on top of that, dark oak door, and then on top of this, we're gonna add 3 spruce logs, all stripped, like so, 2 stairs, stripped logs on this side, 2 copper trapdoors, opened, and I just realized I don't know how I'm going to be placing these stairs. I guess like this. So we get a window that you can't really see at the moment. Then spruce plank, chisel copper, spruce plank, and then we just mirror the window on the other side. And then we do that for all 4, and I will show you how that looks in a second. And this is kind of what the walls look like from the outside perspective. Put on top another layer of these stone bricks to finish off this. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to go ahead and put a dark oak stair here, surround it with the deep slate tile stairs, another stair, and just kind of go around. And now we go in a block and start the whole process over for 2 more layers. So I will be back when I finish those layers. And alright, this is what the building looks like after it's been constructed. However, it is empty inside. I would like to at least put a floor down here, so give me a moment. And actually, while we are up here, let's go ahead and put down the start for the actual windmill blades right here, just for later. Alright, put torches up here, and this floor is done. There's no way of getting up there at the moment, but it's done. Alright, there we go. All the floors are put in. Now it is time to build the actual windmill on top of this, which I will show the process for one, which what would it be called? A wing for a windmill? Or I'm not too sure, but I'm going to create one part of it, and then I'll go ahead and create the other 4. So we want to go ahead and bring this out a bit so it doesn't accidentally hit the building. Place a cap trapdoor on it. Then what we are going to do is place a plank here and go up 7 stairs, placing white wool as well, just because, well, we're gonna have to place it here anyways, might as well, with another plank right here. Now we're going to flush out the wool, but we're also going to be adding trapdoors onto them while we're doing so, just like so, and then we cap it off with some more trapdoors. And from the bottom perspective, that is what one blade, I guess, of the windmill looks like. So now to put down the other 3. And there it is. There is our windmill for our town. It's honestly, in my opinion, quite stout for a windmill, and it definitely could be better, you know, built. But I think that for my first attempt for actually building a windmill, it's not that bad. Now, of course, there is also no insides, as I'm about to show. There is just, you know, 3 levels of like room that I could put something in here, and I probably will, but that's a future sky problem. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I, of course, planned this in a creative world, though, so, you know, I liked it before I started randomly building, and I suggest you guys do the same when you guys build if you can, but otherwise, yeah, there is our windmill. I think it looks good, and now let's go ahead and do the last thing that I wanted to do this week, which is something that requires me to go into a creative version of our survival world, at least to plan, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hopefully talking about plans for the nether tunnels, or more importantly, the rooms that will be surrounding our nether portals, because we're not just going to have tunnels going straight through these portals. That's not going to look good, and I want to actually have some decoration around these. But the first one I actually want to look into is where our spawn portal is, which I believe is just right over here. Now, I actually have a list of the portals here. These are the 4 portals we have that do not have any farms technically around them. We've got our base, the Jellie statue, end portal, and our villager hall. And that's all fine and good, but we've also got the spawn portal and then all of these portals, which I count as farms. Now, you might be wondering why I went ahead and separated these 2, and that is because I want to build these rooms a little bit differently from each other so that I can tell which area is a farm and what area is like an actual build just at a glance. Now, with that being said, the first one I'm going to be working with is our spawn portal here. Now, I think even though our spawn portal doesn't have any farms around it, and it also isn't really a build, I think I want it to be kind of the hub, because it's going to be the closest to 0, at all. I think it actually is at 0. Yeah, so if we go ahead and make this our hub, it would make the most sense. And I want this room to be circular, so I'm going to lay out kind of an area that I think would be good to be considered the hub, if I can actually type. There we go. That's the size of the room that I'm thinking of at the moment, at least. It's definitely big, but I think this would be a good size for an actual hub. Have the tunnels go out in each of these directions when need be. And I'm 90% sure, yeah, this immediately runs into the rail, which would go ahead and follow the portals over here. There's one that's our end portal, and then the other one is our villager hall portal. And I'm not entirely too sure what I want to do with like the walls for this. I don't know if I want them to like go up a bit and then start doing like dome. That could be cool, but I also could just have it be cylindrical and just go up and then make another circle. That's also an option, kind of like how we have our ring around the mining village. But I'm not entirely too sure how I want to do this. This is just kind of throwing ideas at the board, and I think we'll probably flesh these out more next week. But this is how big I want to have the portal around our spawn. Let's talk about portals that are like to our base maybe. So with these, I want to have it similar to how we have the one at spawn. So I want it circular, but I'm going to have it smaller, probably halved in all honesty. So let me try that out really quick. Something kind of like this, because my idea with this at least is that, first of all, I need to make sure that these are actually wide enough to sustain our tunnels, because our tunnels, if I remember correctly, come out to about here, and I'd like a little bit of an edge on here, so it can't just be 5 wide. So 7 wide is going to be our minimum requirements, at least for a tunnel, or entrance to a tunnel. And then I don't want it too big, of course, because then we'll have too much space to work with. So I think this kind of hits a nice balance, where we'll be in the center and we'll come in and out from here. So this will be kind of like the general area for any portals that take us to locations, basically these ones, and they will also be circular, just like the spawn portal. Now finally, we need to figure out an idea for these types of portals, or farm portals. And just to kind of go ahead and be able to show what I'm doing, I'm going to take these out. It's not like this is our actual world anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But these ones are actually going to be more, I guess, rectangular would be a good way of putting it, but it'll probably be a square if I were to guess. So I was thinking, something simplistic like this, maybe even making them more of a hexagonal shape, something kind of like that. But we then run the issue of how close these two are to each other. So let's say this is kind of like where I decide to put the portal, or the room for the portal, right? At least for this one. Now let's see about this one right here. This is how it would look, which actually wouldn't look horrible if it weren't for the fact of where our spawn portal is. But I guess there is a slight fix we could do for this, but it's not going to be good. And that is the fact that these two, if I can just show really quick, connect up exactly to each other. See, like so. And then we could technically have this go around, but that then runs the issue of the way that I'd have to transport the villagers would be from here to here, line here, because that would be how I connect these two together, and then line from here to here, which that would not look good. So another thing I was debating on is this one might not even get its own like room at the moment, because this one can also just be moved. And I say that because we aren't going to be moving this. Our base is too fleshed out for the time being to do so. This is definitely not getting moved. It already has a decent amount of farms at it. It's got our squid farm, our glow squid farm, and our wool farm, and it's also getting close enough to our plant farm too. Those won't get moved because they're location portals, but this one, we can build the villager breeder wherever, so this one might not get its own room for the time being. We'll see though. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking of doing things for the time being. And with all of these will not be the same room for each portal. No, we'll go ahead, and I think it'd be neat to detail each of these rooms to make it actually unique to what is behind the portal. So this would have the same aesthetic as our builds at our base. I'm not entirely sure how I do the farms, or at least these farms, because there's multiple here. The villager hall portal would look like a villager hall inside of it. The end portal would look like, well, the stronghold, and things like that. That's kind of the plan for this, but I wanted to just get an idea down for what I wanted the size of the rooms to be. And I think that in the upcoming weeks, we're actually going to go ahead and start working on making all these rooms, probably starting with our base one would be the first, I would guess at least. But now out of that parallel dimension of creative mode, we sadly don't have any more time for things this week. I know, shocking, but it is the end, so I hope you all enjoyed. We did get a lot done this week though, in my opinion. Of course, as always, we moved in more villagers to our villager hall, got more masons done. I'm hoping to have that done by next week, but we shall see. Then we also went ahead and worked a decent bit on the area of the Jelly statue, finishing up the inner circle as well as adding some more lanterns around the area to light it up. We'll probably be adding more soon, but I'll have to figure that out. Then we went ahead and added a basalt farm as well into the nether. That'll help with those nether tunnels that we were just talking about. We figured out what I want to do with the nether rooms, or at least have a very rough idea, but it's better than nothing. And then finally we went ahead and added the lovely windmill into our base. So all in all, I would say it's been a pretty good week. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you all for watching. You guys all take care, have a great week, and I will see you guys hopefully in the next one. All right, take care, and bye bye.